with Stuart Meese, Executive Director of Employee Relations at Wake Forest. We're back with you once again this week, giving you an update on the state of college recruiting from our perspective. This week marked at Wake Forest the end of classes and finals, and today actually it will be our online commencement. So congratulations to all the graduates out there for persisting despite the obstacles and odds to graduate. That is something definitely to celebrate. What we're seeing this week is many folks are going to be shifting their plans now, looking to help support students that are still looking to land with their full-time roles starting out. And you have a lot of employers and career centers are beginning to plan for the fall semester and what college recruiting will look like during the fall semester. So for the purpose of this video that we're doing, some of our numbers that we shared about the current state of the market will conclude because it's a natural time to do such. And next week, we're going to bring in a guest to talk a little bit more about advice for everyone, and we'll continue to keep people abreast of what we're seeing. So therefore, as kind of a concluding sense of what's happening as it relates to internships, over the last few weeks, the numbers have kind of leveled out. We have somewhere between around 46% of those companies that we've interacted with had continued on with their internship programs. Almost all of them are virtual, and they're also a much more condensed time frame. About 40% have canceled their programs, and then we have about another 14% at either on the fence still, or we haven't been able to confirm their plans. Similar reports we've seen from crowdsourced site called GitHub represents a similar percentage. About 44% of those internships are canceled out of 700 different intern programs around the U.S., and about 56% are continuing. Now, on the full-time front, again, it's also been pretty level over the last 4 to 5 weeks. What we've seen is about 77% of firms remaining committed to the full-time hires, but many are planning to delay those start dates, and most all of them will start out virtually. About 10% have canceled or rescinded the full-time offers, and another 13% or so have been on the fence, or we still have not been able to confirm the plans. Another crowdsourced site that we've looked at a lot during this time called Candor.co. They have looked at about 8,000 companies for all positions, not just college level recruiting, and they categorize those into one of 4 buckets. 51% of those 8,000 companies are still hiring, 28% or so have implemented a hiring freeze, about 6% have laid people off, and the remaining 15% or so report 2 or more categories that have conflicting reports, which we view as inconclusive. When it comes to student engagement, if you followed this video over the last couple of weeks, you'll see that student engagement is definitely increasing. And from April 14th to May 14th, just looking at our Wake Forest students, those that are logging into Handshake, which is our platform connecting employers to students, has risen 109% during the same time in 2019. So the students are much more active right now, perusing and looking. During that same month time period that I just shared, from mid-April to mid-May, applications on the platform rose 49% compared to last year. So we're definitely seeing that inch up as well. In regards to job postings, unfortunately, it's the other end of the spectrum. From that same time period, again, mid-April to mid-May, there were 27% fewer postings year over year. But due to our good work of our account managers and employer relations, most of that gap has been filled through the sourcing of nearly 1,200 to 1,300 opportunities over the time that we've been in this pandemic. Another external resource that actually Lisa shared, LinkUp, reports a similar number of job postings nationwide, having decreased by nearly 30% just in the month of April. So we see a lot of what is happening on our kind of microsite compared to some of these large aggregators being very similar. In terms of what industries and companies that are hiring, still not much has changed there. Certainly supply chain is going to be one of the bigger fields. If you're in computer science and can code, still IT is going to be hot. Financial services, business software, consulting / government, especially around the CARES Act. We're seeing more positions in the government space and those that are in the global public sector, and then healthcare are where the biggest opportunities exist. If you're looking for specific companies, I would go do a search on LinkedIn. A guy named Andrew Seaman, SEAMAN. He's a journalist that has hundreds of announcements made by companies that are documenting that they are hiring. It's really an exhaustive list, so I would highly encourage you to find that particular link and track down some of those opportunities at companies that have listed there. Other external data we've seen from some economics groups shows that the class of 2020 will face very, very challenging times landing if they have not at this particular time. They anticipate an increase in graduate school attendance as well as business startups. Data also suggests that seekers wanting that job must apply quickly to more roles as the competition increases for these positions. As last week we found there's another 3 million filing unemployment claims. But also, according to the same article, Lisa found in LinkUp that there was a 47% increase in the number of deleted job postings in the month of April. If you followed this, you know that we've had a problem with some of our source jobs and other positions that have been posting that they've produced dead links. So we've been trying to keep a track on that as well. And then another thing that we're seeing is that a lot of these postings that we have sourced are not coming from our historical top-tier firms, but they're from firms that we may not have a strong relationship with that haven't hired as many Wake Forest students in the past. And this information will indicate that that students' Plan A is really no longer available at this particular time in this cycle, and therefore they must be open to maybe some Plan B and Plan C opportunities. And we're seeing some success with students going into some of these companies that may be in the same industry, but maybe not from the top brand name companies that they would normally land with in regular times. Again, employers mentioned that students need to be creative in filling this gap, whether it's going from their junior to senior year or senior year into a full-time role. They talk about upskilling, starting a business, volunteering, taking on a variety of projects. Those are things that can help greatly. Again, the employers have reiterated that those students who can communicate and show adaptability during this time will be the ones that stand out when it comes time for them to hire or go through the process of selecting candidates to interview. The early outlook for class of 21 shows that it will still be tough, but that they will have an easier time landing if they're pursuing opportunities in the professional services sector where specific skills are in demand. And we anticipate upskilling, having a specific skill set that the employer needs to generate revenue is going to be a differentiator in the market. As we mentioned with employers, activity moving forward, many of them are looking for fall recruiting dates. They're looking at scheduling opportunities to present to students on campus and to participate in a variety of virtual events. They're trying to figure out which platform to use. Similarly, career centers are also trying to identify their career platform. They also are holding out to see what the academic calendars are going to look like. There's evidence to believe that some schools may be starting earlier or later, or maybe ending the semester earlier as well. There's even reports that some are moving to a quarter system. So there's still a lot of uncertainty on that particular end in determining which platform or way in which employers and students are going to connect, or which times in which those are going to be occurring as well. And certainly, I'll close is that there seems to be an emergence of vendors that are reaching out to career centers, to employers, trying to sell them products to help with in the connection between students and employers, so that they don't lose out on any branding that they've built up over the last couple of years as well. So this is what we're seeing this particular week. Again, thanks everyone for taking a few minutes to listen to this and to read this, and we welcome your feedback. If you got any ideas, comment on this. We'd love to hear what you're seeing as well. And next week we'll look to changing up the platform here a little bit to where we'll have a little more two-way conversation with some experts on this. Until next time, hang in there, keep going. Thanks.